Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Reardon and today we're going to make these beautiful strawberry fraisiers. I think that's how you say it. It's French, so forgive my pronunciation if it's not quite correct. Now we're going to make little individual ones. You can make one big one if you prefer, but I like the cute little ones. Now a couple of weeks ago I used these loose bottom baking tins and everybody asked, where did you get them from? Well, they're by a company called Baker's Secret, and they also make the same thing but in 12, which is what we're going to use today. Still have the loose bottom, so it makes it easy to get the desserts out. And they have agreed to give us 5 prize packs for 5 winners on How to Cook That. And so what that has is this one that I'm going to use today. It's this one here, a spatula, the loose bottom square one, so it's exactly the same as these individual ones but square. Some measuring cups, a set of piping tips and the piping bag to go with that, and the couplers, a whisk, and also a Baker's Secret spatula, which is the offset spatula, which I use all the time when I'm decorating cakes. Just makes it really easy to get a flat surface there and spread your frosting out. So, how to enter. You can only enter this one on the howtocookthat.net website, Facebook and Instagram, and I'll link to that below and show you how you can enter there. You can't enter here, but you do need to watch the video to enter. So let's make these strawberry fraisiers. The first thing we need to do is make like a really light fluffy sponge for the base. So to do that you'll need egg whites, egg yolks, sugar, flour and some vanilla, and all the recipe quantities that you need are on the website howtocookthat.net, and I'll put a link to that in the description below this video. The first thing we want to do is whip together our egg whites and half of our sugar. Put the other half of the sugar into your egg yolks and then just whip those up until they're stiff. Perfect, they look great. So you should be able to tip your bowl upside down without it falling out. Then you know it is perfect. Okay, so now take your egg yolks and your sugar. Just use the same beaters that you used before and just turn that on low speed because I've got a little bowl, and whisk those together. Now into your egg yolks we just want to add some vanilla to taste, so probably about a teaspoon there. Mix that through. Now we want to sieve our flour into our egg whites so that it gets it nice and aerated and fluffy. So just tip that in there. Add that on top, and we're also going to add our egg mixture as well. Now we don't just want to stir this. If you just stir, you're going to get all that air and collapse it. That's not what we want to do. We want to fold it together. So scoop around and down to the bottom of the bowl and back over the top so that you just get a nice fluffy sponge. We want it to be really, really light. So continue to fold that through, making sure we don't have any lumps of flour or egg white. So we only want to fold it until it's just mixed in, but we don't want to leave it with streaks of egg white. We actually do want cake, not cooked egg. Wonderful, so that just looks just right. There's no streaks of white in there, there's no flour, it's all just folded in beautifully together. So now we want to pour that into a tray that is lined with non-stick baking paper and just spread it out all the way to the edges. Now we only need this sponge to be quite thin because we're going to put a layer of it at the bottom of our cake and at the top, so we don't want it too fat. Now just place that in the oven to bake. It will only take about 5 minutes to bake and it will be nice and golden brown. Now that that is cooling, what we want to do is make our pastry cream for the filling. For that we will need some cream, butter, vanilla, corn flour or cornstarch, sugar, 2 eggs, milk and some powdered gelatin. The first thing we want to do is soften our gelatin, so just add a little bit of your milk into the gelatin there and mix that around, and then we'll just leave that and the gelatin will absorb the liquid from the milk and it will just soften it up. The next thing we want to do is whisk together the eggs with the corn flour and the sugar. Whisk them until they are well combined. Bring the milk to boil over the heat and then add that egg mixture into it and stir continuously until it thickens. Once it's bubbling, you just keep stirring it over the heat for another couple of minutes, and what that does is it just makes sure that all those starch granules in the corn flour have burst, and if they don't, you get that floury taste to your dessert and you don't want that. So once that's ready and it's all thickened up like this, then we want to add in our gelatin and stir that through until it is melted. Now pour that thickened mixture into a cool bowl and add in your butter. And stir that through until it's melted and all mixed in there nicely. Lovely. Now we want to let this cool to room temperature, and we're going to whip our cream and then fold the two together. While that is cooling, we want to take our sponge out and level off the top so that we get a nice, perfect straight layer in each dessert. Cut out circles slightly smaller than the base of the tin and put them into place. Choose some strawberries that are around the same size and then hull them and cut them in half, and then cut 2 nice slices from either side of the centre there. Place those into the tin right down to the base, using the cake to hold them in place, and continue to do that the whole way around. And in my size tin, each one of these needed about 3.5 strawberries. To make some simple syrup, just put a couple of tablespoons of water and a couple of tablespoons of sugar into a cup and microwave that on high for 1 minute until the sugar is dissolved. Use a pastry brush to add this to the bases, and this just makes it really moist, and you can add alcohol or flavouring to this if you prefer, but I prefer mine without. Now to finish off our filling, pour your cream into a bowl and whip that onto high speed until you get soft peaks. That's looking good, so just so that it's like this, just softly whipped. We don't want to over whip it, we don't want to make butter. Now we want to fold our whipped cream into that cooled custard mixture. Just scoop down around, just like we did when we were folding the cake, down around the bottom, because we want to keep the air, keep it light and fluffy. Place that mixture into a piping bag fitted with a round tip and pipe it into your dessert tins. Now if you don't have a piping bag, you can just spoon it in. I just find it easier to get it neatly into the tin if you use a bag. Now take some of these scraps of strawberries or little pieces that we've got left and push them down into the middle there on each one, so that when you bite into it you have that beautiful strawberry flavour mixed with that pastry cream that's nice and creamy in the middle. And then add another slightly bigger circle of sponge to the top of each one, and then place them in the fridge to set. Traditionally these would have marzipan on top of them. Not really a fan of marzipan on desserts, so we're going to make a strawberry jelly instead and put circles of that on top, and I'll show you how to make that. To make the strawberry gel, puree some strawberries and place them through a fine sieve. Then put that into a saucepan and sprinkle over some agar-agar over the top. Now agar is different from gelatin in that it makes things gel, but it makes them set at room temperature, whereas gelatin makes it set when it's cold in the fridge. It gives a firmer gel as well that doesn't break as easily, so you can use it to make sheets like we're going to today. Pour that mixture over acetate or foil, spread it out thinly and leave it to set. Once your desserts are set, use something small like a medicine measuring cup to push the base up and out of the tin, and then transfer your dessert onto a plate ready for decorating. Use a circle cutter and cut a circle of strawberry gel and place that on top of the dessert. Add a swirl of white chocolate and a strawberry to the top of each one, and there's a video on the How to Cook That website that shows you how to make chocolate decorations, so you can do that. Don't forget to enter on the howtocookthat.net website or How to Cook That Instagram or Facebook page for your chance to win one of 5 Baker's Secret prize packs. And yes, you can enter from anywhere in the world, and I'll add a link to all those below, and I'll also add a link to where you can just buy those round tins if you are after those. Share this video with a dessert lover, subscribe to How to Cook That for more creative cakes, chocolates and desserts. Have a great week, and I'll see you all on Friday.